Okay, we have a couple young 4-H'ers here that are going to do the pledges for us, J.C. Wolfinger and Parker Wallahosky.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world.
Thank you, guys. Okay.
This would be first call and final call for dairy showmanship. Please enter.
Well, very good showman to get things started today, and I can tell you, she said it was her first year showing, and I was definitely surprised by that. I think she does a nice job, and you can certainly tell some work's done at home. That animal's working with it really, really easy. She does a good job, even though she's the only one out here. I think she could certainly stand some more competition. She does a good job getting that animal really walked into place. She doesn't have to move it around too much. Doesn't really have to struggle with her out here. So definitely very natural look. I think she's doing an excellent job. I just want to congratulate her. Let's give her a round of applause.
Your dairy showmanship champion is Deli Barnes. Our judge for the show today is Blaine French, originally from Batesville, Arkansas. He's a graduate of the University of Arkansas and coached livestock judging teams at Connor State and is the present UNL livestock judging coach. We want to welcome him to Dawson County. Now entering the ring will be the first class in the dairy show, and this is a winter yearling shown by Dally Barnes.
Well, the young lady does a nice job with her yearling female out here, and I think this one, the thing I love about it probably the most, you say this one at the surface, just super sound in terms of her feet and leg structure, really able to get around with a ton of flexibility, and you have to appreciate that. I think that one from the outside could give you a good look in terms of balance and design, there's no question. Maybe not as opened up from behind as what you'd like to see, but again, a really nice female that's certainly good structured. Congratulations to this young lady.
Receiving a purple ribbon is Dally Barnes. Just a reminder, you can pick up your ribbons over with Sarah at the table in the southeast corner of the arena. Now entering the ring is the second class, a 4-year-old dry dairy cow.
Well, lots of quality with this single entry female. I think the first word that comes to mind on this one's probably maternal. I think when we talk about structural foundation, flexibility, she certainly covers those basics, but you know, the fact that she's that deep and bold through her center skeleton, I think she's good in terms of her udder development, in terms of teeth spacement and size back there. Just really a good looking female that gives you that attractiveness from the side. Really hard to pick a hole in that one, like her quite well. Congratulations.
Receiving a purple is Dally Barnes. Now entering the ring will be a 4-year-old milking dairy cow. This is the first time in a long time at Dawson County that we've had dairy animals, and it's good to see this. And thank you for bringing them.
Well, a really big-framed, high-performing, really powerful female steps in the ring here. I think she's big-footed and stout-boned. You get in behind her, I think she's pretty stout-pinned and pretty genuine in terms of her width underneath. And I think from a structural standpoint, I think she goes good enough. Maybe she's a little straight in her shoulder shape up front, maybe not quite as loose in terms of her hind legs as her the previous two that we saw, but again, power and performance doesn't run short in this particular female. Really good in her other side and development. Really going to be an interesting grand drive. Congratulations.
Okay, put the ribbon to Dally Barnes with Norma. Okay, now we'll have bring back our class winners, and we'll pick a champion dairy animal.
Welcome to the 2020 Beef Show today. We're beginning with our junior showmanship, and there'll be 2 classes. In the first class of junior showman will be Catherine Bartriff, Braylon Malcolm, Brantley Malcolm, and Bristol McConville. Welcoming our judge today, Blaine French, originally from Batesville, Arkansas. Blaine's a graduate of the University of Arkansas, and he coached the livestock judging team at Connors State College in Oklahoma. And presently, he's the livestock judging coach at UNL. We welcome Blaine to Dawson County.
Well, a good set of junior showmen to get the showmanship portion of things kicked off, and I do think that all 4 of these young people do a nice job. What I was really impressed with was their ability to work with their animal in this environment as far as spacing goes, really getting their animals set up pretty quickly. They're able to go showing and be a little more relaxed out here. I like that a lot. Again, these 2 here right in front of me, I think, kind of sort up, in my opinion. I'll look forward to bringing them 2 back for the grand drive. But like I said, congratulations to all 4 of you young people. You guys are doing a heck of a job.
Receiving purples in Class 1 of Junior Showmanship is Brantley Malcolm and Bristol McConville. Receiving blues, Catherine Bartriff and Braylon Malcolm. Ready for Class 2 Junior Showmanship. Entering the ring is Class 2 of Junior Showmanship, Greta Rickardson, Dillinger Sledowicz, Riker Spradlin, and Paige Wolahowski. Just a reminder to the 4-Hers, you can pick up your ribbons after your class or at the end of the day from Sarah in the southeast corner of our building. She also has water available for anyone here that's provided by Flatwater Bank. If you need some water, please feel free to go over and ask for some. Thank you.
Really deep set of junior showmen, but again, I think these two over here at my right, sort to the forefront, I think just for their ability to look really natural like they've done it out here before. I mean, both of them do a nice job of walking those calves into the stands for the most part. And then again, just goes to show that work's being done at home, so really impressed by those two. Nothing taken away from the two on my left, though, I'll tell you. They just drew a tough card and got in here with some really stiff competition. But I do think the basics of being engaged, being focused, working on getting those calves into position, really reading awareness is better today for sure. So again, commend these showmen, look forward to getting to the grand drive. Good job, guys.
Purple ribbons in Class 2 of Junior Showmanship are Dillinger Sledowicz and Paige Wolahowski. Receiving blues, Greta Rickardson and Riker Spradlin. At this time, we'll have the top purples from the two classes, Brantley Malcolm, Bristol McConville, Dillinger Sledowicz, and Paige Wolahowski compete for the junior trophy. If Joe, Jeffrey, or anyone from the family is here, if you could report down to the table, please. First call for intermediate Class 1 showmanship. First call, Class 1 intermediate showmanship. Second call, Class 1 intermediate showmanship. Second call, Class 1. First call, Class 2 intermediate showmanship. First call, Class 2. This will be final call for Class 1 of intermediate showmanship and second call for Class 2 intermediate showmanship. Attention intermediate showmen, there have been a couple that are not going to show today, so we're going to put all of the intermediate showmen into one class. There will be 7 individuals in intermediate showmen all showing together, so just one class.
really, really impressive set of juniors that we have out here. Let's give these kids a round of applause. Well, even though these are the young kids, I definitely think there's a lot of quality out here. These kids know what they're doing, and you can definitely tell. Walked around, we talked about some things that they're doing really good, and some things maybe to improve on going forward. I think when you get down to trying to choose a grand in this particular division, I think it's tough because honestly, there's 2 or 3 of these kids probably out here that could win, that have done enough to win. I think when you get in these situations, it really comes down to, personal preference, and just kind of what the minute differences were today. And so for me, I do think it's close between a couple, but I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady here in the back to be your champion.
Your champion junior showman is Paige Willahowski. Also receiving purples were Dylan Schledowitz, Brantley Malcolm, and Bristol McConville. Congratulations, Paige. Entering the ring now is our intermediate showman in this class, our Preston Beatty, Elizabeth David, Garrett Langley, Trina Pearson, Rylan Schledowitz, Parker Willahowski, and Jalen Wolfinger. Our intermediate trophy is sponsored by the Dennis Berkey family. If we could have someone from Dennis's family, please.
We have Dennis in person. Raise your right hand. Dennis is here. Dennis is here in the house.
Still a thank you for you.
Yeah, they get it. That's cool.
First call for senior class 1 showmanship. First call, senior class 1. We want to thank our sponsors that help provide the live streaming of our show today. K Farms of Gothenburg, Laird Feed of Gothenburg, Highgain Feedlot, Farnham and Cozad, Platte Valley Auto of Lexington and Kearney, Pony Express Chevrolet and Buick of Gothenburg, Dawson County Cattlemen, Logan Hunky Channel Seed out of Cozad, Russman Welding of Farnham, Nutrien Ag Solutions of Cozad, Heartland Buick and Chevrolet of Lexington, and KRVN, The River and Cami of Lexington. We want to thank Bryce and Beth for helping us out on this from KRVN and setting this up. It's been a good deal for us. Thank you. Second call, Class 1, Senior Showmanship, second call.
well, a super talented intermediate group that we have out here. Let's give these kids a round of applause. It makes it fun to evaluate these kids in showmanship when you get this much talent and quality out here. I think these kids certainly covers those basics. You know, you think about things that you want to do in the showmanship ring, or anytime you're showing, you want to be engaged, you want to be focused, you want to show that judge that you're into it, have your eye contact down pat. But I think past that, especially as we get out here and get ready to show these calves, walking those things into its stance as quick as you can and get ready to just go show instead of having to mess with legs. You'll never know how much that'll help you. Even if you're not in just that perfect spot that you want to be. If that judge is giving you a look, let him give you a look. And then if he goes somewhere else, you can make those minor adjustments. Just a few things that came to my mind. The quickest, like I said, super quality. Excuse me, in terms of these kids, I do think these two over here on my right really sort up though. That's a pair of kids that, you know, just really excellent. Definitely could not only be competitive at a county fair level, but as you get into those state and national shows, I think these two could certainly be competitive. And honestly, it's close between the two of them. It does come down to personal preference. They differ in terms of their style. As for me, I'm going to go with my initial. I can only pick 1 gram. The young lady there with the red female is going to let me be your champion.
The champion intermediate showman is Rylan Schledowitz. Receiving purples, Parker Willahowski and Preston Beatty, along with Rylan Schledowitz. Blues, Elizabeth David, Garrett Langley, Trina Pearson, and Jalen Wolfinger. This is first call for senior class 2 and senior class 3 showmanship. Final call on class 1 senior showmanship. Class 1 of senior showmanship is entering the ring. We have Gage Anderson, Neely Anderson, Bart Beatty, Trevor David, and Heath Kaiser. The senior trophy is sponsored by the Carl Heffley family. If we could have one of them come down to present the trophy when we get to the finals on this. Thank you. call, Class 2 Senior Showmanship, final call. Second call, Class 3 Senior Showmanship. Second call, Class 3.
Well, really competitive senior showmanship to get this deal kicked off, and I do think I'm going to keep these three over here on my right to come back for the champion drive. A little more consistency as far as their style. Really impressed with their ability, again, to walk those things into the stance, go showing, not have to fiddle with legs really at all. I can certainly appreciate that. Nothing to take away from these two young men over here on my left, though. They do an excellent job. I just think they kind of drew a tough card out here. Like I said, these three will be purple, and they'll come back for the grand drive. Good job.
Purple ribbons go to Neely Anderson, Bart Beatty, and Heath Kaiser. Blue ribbons to Gage Anderson and Trevor David. Next entering the ring will be Class 2 of Senior Showmanship, Helene Kaiser, Levi Cup, Emma Peterson, Hayden Russman, and Gage Schledowitz.
well, another good heat of seniors out here. I do think it's pretty competitive, and honestly, there's probably one or two of these other ones that I'm going to keep on my left that I could go ahead and sort up, but I guess, in my opinion, these two that I'm going to keep, the young lady and the young man here, I just think they're a little more consistent again, just with that kind of style that we're looking for. Very relaxed, very engaged, do a nice job of getting those animals walked into it. There's never a point where you turn around and get a bad look at their animal, and so that's what we're looking for. We'll keep these two back for the grand drive. Again, really commend the 3 exhibitors here on the outside. Again, like I said, there's 1 or 2 of you guys that I could have certainly sorted in there, but again, just wanted to bring this pair up. Nice job by all the exhibitors, though. Good job.
Receiving purple ribbons in Class 2 of Senior Showmanship was Helene Kaiser and Gage Schledowitz. Receiving blues, Levi Cupp, Emma Peterson, and Hayden Russman. Now entering the ring will be Class 3 of Senior Showmanship, Gracie Snyder, Greg Treffer, Sarah Treffer, Spencer Wolahowski, and J.C. Wolfinger. Just a reminder to the market beef exhibitors, if you're planning to enter your animal in the carcass contest, please make sure you've talked with Shannon Peterson for details. She's around here somewhere, but make sure you've talked to her. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you, when I saw these 5 individuals walk in the ring a second ago, I could tell it was going to be competitive, and I thought, man, this is only heat 3. This isn't even the grand drive, and I can say each 5 of these showmen out here certainly could be deserving to be in the grand drive scenario out here. But again, you get yourself caught into a tough heat, and that's just the game that we play. So I'm going to keep these 3 that are over here on my left. They're going to come back and be in the grand drive to compete for the Senior Showmanship Championship. And again, I really want to commend these 5 because I think they do an excellent job. You really definitely can't take anything away from these 2 young people here in front of me. They do a damn nice job. It's just the little things that get you sorted out here in a tough class. And so again, don't be discouraged. You guys are certainly competitive enough to play. But like I said, going to keep these 3 back. Look forward to seeing them in the Grand Championship.
Purple ribbons in Class 3 are Gracie Schneider, Spencer Wolohowski, and J.C. Wolfinger. Receiving blues, Greg Treffer and Sarah Treffer. Next, we'll have the finals for our senior showmanship. In this class will be Neely Anderson, Bart Beatty, Heath Kaiser, Helene Kaiser, Gage Schledowitz, Gracie Schneider, Spencer Wolohowski, and J.C. Wolfinger. This will be first call for British breed heifers. First call for British breed heifers. Second call, British breed heifers. Second call, British breed. First call for Continental Composite, Class 1. First call for Continental Composite, Class 1. Just a reminder, we do have water available over in the southeast corner by Sarah. That's provided by Flatwater Bank. If anybody needs some water, please feel free to go over. Also, there is sanitizers throughout the building. Please be using them and continue the social distancing. Thank you. We want to thank our beef superintendents today, Samantha Smith and Taryn Vonderschmidt, and also our ring, Alyssa Snyder. Thanks to those. We want to thank the Extension, 4-H Council, Dawson County Ag Society. This year was a challenge to even know if we were going to have this show or what we could do. We want to thank all of them for all their hard work and making changes and making it for the kids, because that is the heart of our whole operation here is the 4-H kids. So thank you to all of them.
Man, you got to be appreciative of the competition that you have out here with these seniors, and I think, really the 8 kids that we have out here do a heck of a job. They're out here competing. So these 3 on my left, do not be discouraged. You absolutely deserve to be in here. And I do think, again, I've judged a few counties before this. I think on the cattle side of things, this is as competitive of a set of seniors as I've seen so far, probably the best. Just as far as consistency through and through with these kids. And so just want to commend them on that and give them a huge round of applause, guys. So obviously the top 2 of this division get to go back and compete in the elite showmanship contest. And so these 5 over here on my right are going to be your top 5. That way we have some ultimates there. But as far as Graham, there is, I think there's 2 or 3, really the top 3, I guess, in my opinion, stood out to me. They were the last 2 that we had out here. It's really, really tough because I tell you, they each have different strengths, they have different styles, but again, those 3 really set out in my mind. As for me, in deciding what I'm going to want to do moving forward as far as which one of these kids are going to be your grand, I think the one that fits for me the best is the Showman on the far left. He's going to be your champion. As we think about reserve, young lady here, second in line, is going to be a reserve showman. Just very, very consistent. I think she always walked that animal into a stance, didn't have to fiddle with legs hardly at all. Then there at the end, she kind of stretched that calf out a little bit, and she made one quick turn to get that thing reset. But again, thought she did a really nice job, so it'll be a reserve. The young lady here in the white polo is going to be third, and a dang good showman to be sitting third. I tell you, she does a nice job. She can always walk that heifer into a stance for the most part. She's really attractive from the outside, so I'm sure it's going to be fun showing that one. We talked about some different positioning things. She was kind of in a tough spot there at the end of the lineup, maybe to change moving forward, but again, really nice job on her part. The young man here with the white heifer is going to be fourth. He probably answered this question as good as anything. I asked him, what's one thing you'd want to change about your animal? And so I think it's important for these kids to know the good things about their animals, along with the bad. He answered the question there about his heifer really accurately, so commend him on that. And of course, the young lady that's going to end up fifth, she's about as natural and as relaxed in here as any of them. Just again, some small things that get her sorted there. But again, a really impressive top five. Congratulations to our Grand Reserve.
Your champion senior showman is Spencer Wallahowski. Reserve, Helene Kaiser, followed by J.C. Wolfinger, Heath Kaiser, and Gracie Schneider. Congratulations. At this time, we'll be bringing in our breeding heifer show. This is final call for British breeds, second call for Continental, Class 1, first call for Continental Class 2. Entering the ring is our British breed breeding heifers, Bristol McConville, Rieker Spradlin, Elizabeth David, and Heath Kaiser. This will be third and final call for Class 1 of Continental Heifers, second call for Class 2 Continental Heifers, and first call for Class 3 Continental Heifers.
Good group of females out here as we get into the British female drive, and I'll just talk each heifer individually right quick before we select a grade and reserve. Young lady's white flanked heifer here in the front's one that I think just screams cow. She's super maternal through her center body. I definitely think she's a low input kind. She's one that's super sound and flexible as she gets out and goes. Is she the most attractive in her hind leg set? Probably not, but I think she still uses it with enough structural integrity for me. The thing about her is when it gets her propped up from the side, you can appreciate some femininity and build in this particular heifer. Again, she's not the stoutest, most opened up thing you'll see, but that heifer certainly comes with the fundamentals. Have to like her quite well. Black heifer that's here second in the line is one that's super long bodied. She's attractive from the outside. I think she's pretty big footed and stout boned. But well, really from a structural standpoint, I don't have too many problems with this one. I just think she kind of wants to run downhill and get a little off balance from the side. I think she's a little shallow there in terms of her center skeleton, so you'd certainly like to fix her there. The other man's white heifer that comes next, man, there's a lot of her. She's really high performing, she's big bodied, she's stout pinned, really big footed, opened up underneath. You study her from the side, I think she's low up top and square out of her hip, and you might like to make her a little more female-like in her presence up front. I still think she's long enough neck and gives you a good enough look from the outside. It's funny, when we were in showmanship, I asked that young man what he'd like to change about her, and he said her structure. He said her rear leg's not good enough, she's a little bit short out of her front end as well, and I would agree with that. She's a little bit pressed forward there in terms of her shoulder, wants to toe out ever so slightly, and I wish she could get out and use her hind leg with a little more flex. Now, the question you have to ask, is that still a pretty good heifer? Does she cross that line in terms of being crippled? I don't think she does, but you'd certainly like to loosen her up off both ends. Short-horn female here rounds out the lineup is one that I think is just really moderate, big-bodied, round-bodied female that I think has enough width and dimension. She's not just the most feminine through her front one-third. She's a little straight-shouldered. I'd like to certainly make her, even though she flexes them okay, I'd like to see her a little more attractive in her hind leg set. And so that's the full cattle that we have in front of us, and I do think that there's a couple of them that sort up for me if we're just talking about having some of those extra pieces that we're after. I'll be honest with you. The heifer that I'm going to leave reserved is actually a lot sounder, and I prefer her structural setup a little bit more. But as for me, it's hard to get past this white heifer. She'll go ahead and be your champion. Young ladies heifer here in the front will be your reserve.
Your champion British breed heifer is Heath Kaiser. Reserve goes to Bristol McConville. Receiving blues, Elizabeth David and Ruker Spradman. Next entering the ring will be Class 1 of Continental breeds. We will have 3 classes of Continentals. So Class 1 will be entering, and this is final call for Class 2 and Class 3 of Continental breed. Participants in this class are Trevor David, Helene Kaiser, and J.C. Wolfinger. These are Continental breeds born during March and April of 2019.
Interesting class of females, and I do think it sorts into a top pair between the 2 black heifers over here on the rail. I'll be the first to admit I'd really like to change some structure things about both of these heifers, and I wish the one in second could correct the one that I'm going to leave in first problems, but her. Anyways, I said, I think their structural problems are a little bit different. I'm going to leave this heifer here out front to win the class. That's one that I think is just a little more feminine there through her front 1/3, a little bit longer and cleaner there up front. She's one that I think is level up top and stays a little bit leveler out of her hip on the move. To me, she's got enough body shape and enough dimension in her center skeleton, and I don't really question her width and dimension. I just wish she's a little better structured. It's not that she doesn't flex them enough on her hind tube. She just wants to kind of get on the outside of her framework as she goes away, kind of wants to paddle them a little bit. Then I'd certainly like to fix the way she transitions out of the top side of her shoulder there up front, but again, a nice effort to win the class. The heifer that comes second, boy, is she high performing. Again, she's a really bold bodied one that I think it has enough center rib dimension. Get in behind her, you're not disappointed. She's stout pinned, she's opened up, really a big-footed stout bone female. At the same time, I'd like to fix the structure on her hind leg as well. I think as you get her out and go, she's a little short and timid the way that she sits to her rear leg, and she needs to be a little bit more flexible as the way she goes into her rear passengers there on her hind leg. But again, super nice pair of cattle. I can certainly see it being switched, but I like them like that today. The one that's going to round up the class, I think she's really smooth in terms of her pattern. She's level up top, square out of her hip, and I certainly think she's feminine featured. I just think if you study her off of both ends, she's a little flatter bodied, a little more closed up as you get right in behind the cattle. Good job.
Class winner was Helene Kaiser. Second was Jalen Wolfinger, and receiving a blue was Trevor David. Now entering the ring will be the second class of Continental breeding heifers, Emma Peterson, J.C. Wolfinger. These are May of 2019 heifers.
Nice pair of cattle in this class. I like this young lady's heifer here to win the class, though. This is one that parked and planted. Man, you got to be appreciative that feminine feature that she gives you up front. It's hard to make them that cool looking. She's really elegant in the way that she transitions out of the top side of her shoulder up high. She remains consistent and level up top, square out of her hip. I actually think she's pretty big-footed and stout-boned, and really, you don't get disappointed stepping in behind her. I think she has that right kind of substance. Is she the deepest, soggiest middle thing in the world? I don't think so, but if you really study her rib shape, she still has enough. Maybe she could fill into her rear flank ever so slightly. I think she gets that one bred on down the road. She'll go ahead and do that. My struggle with her is her hind leg. She's not near as flexible as what I'd like to see her, especially as she gets out and goes. And like I said, when she's parked and planted, you may not think that, but as she gets out and goes, she really needs to loosen up there in terms of her rear tube. But again, that's one that you gotta love from the side. The heifer that's going to sit second, man, is she powerful. Huge-footed, stout-boned female that's really big top. Getting behind her, she's wide from stifle to stifle, and so certainly power and mass goes to her. I just think she's a little bit timid and rigid in the way that she uses her hind leg. I'd like to see her a little bit more maternal about her center body. Good job.
Your class winner is J.C. Wolfinger. Second place was Emma Peterson. Now entering the ring will be Continental Class 3, J.C. Wolfinger with a November of 2019 heifer.
Nice single entry heifer out here that can certainly stand some more competition. Young lady brings us a really feminine heifer that I think I really like from the side. She's good in her body shape. She's deep-sided. You appreciate that. She actually has some substance from behind. I do think if I wanted to get picky on her, though, it's probably from a balance standpoint. From the side, she's a little pushed forward in her shoulder. I think she's a little up at her top. It kind of ducks her pins a little bit, especially as you get her out on the move. She's kind of got a separate problem. We talked about a few cattle. They need to loosen up. She's pretty loose. She probably just overfills her track, kind of gets up underneath herself a little bit on the move. But again, you'd always like to have one with a little more flex than not enough. So really, really nice female. Look forward to getting her back in the Grand Drive.
Receiving a purple and class winner is J.C. Wolfinger. At this time, we'll bring back the first and second places from our continental classes. Out of class 1, class winner Helene Kaiser. Out of class 2, J.C. Wolfinger. And out of class 3, J.C. Wolfinger. Our second places are out of class 1, Jalen Wolfinger. And out of class 2, Emma Peterson.
There will be singing and dancing. Yeah. Where do you see we don't see
Nice trio of females out here in the Continental Division, and I do think, I'll be the first to admit there's a couple of these heifers, and there's some structural things I'd like to fix, but I think you have to look at the total package, and they're sound enough. Again, it's not like they're crippled. There's just a few nitpicky things that you might want to change. As you get in here, start thinking about Grand. for this deal. I think there's a heifer that runs away with it in my mind. Again, I'd like to loosen up her hind leg to be ideal, but I think when she stops, she's awfully attractive. Still has the right kind of substance and build in my mind. The lady here in the middle will be your champion.
Your champion continental breed heifer is J.C. Wolfinger. We'll now bring in the second place heifer out of that class of Emma Peterson's to compete for reserve. Your reserve is Helene Kaiser. Next will be first call for commercial crossbreds. There's only 2 in the class, and this first call also for commercial class 2 with 3 in the class. This first class of commercial crossbred heifers, Trina Pearson and Catherine Bartruff. These are heifers born in February and early March.
Nice pair of cattle to start the commercial show off with. I'm going to use this red heifer here on the left to go ahead and win the class. She's just the one that I think is a little bit better balanced from the side. She's better in her top line and out of her hip. I think her angles read better in my opinion, and she's a touch more maternal about the center portion of her skeleton. Have to appreciate the look that one gives you from the outside. Big high-performing black heifer is going to sit second. I think she has enough substance, there's no question. I just see her as one that's a little too shallow there in her center skeleton, a little too off-kilter from a build and balance standpoint. Good job.
Your class winner for the commercial Class 1 is Catherine Bartriff with the purple. Blue ribbon goes to Trina Pearson. Entering the ring now will be Class 2 of commercial crossbred heifers, Levi Cup, Rylan Schledowitz, and Paige Wolochowski. These are heifers born in late March and April of 2019.
Nice commercial class of heifers out here. Red female is going to be your class winner. I just think she's the most complete if we're talking about low input style cattle. Cattle that I think are really practical in their center skeleton. I still think, even though she's not perfect into her lower joints there in her rear too, I still think she's flexible enough. Gets out and goes with enough flex and ease. Really good looking from the outside. A feminine featured female that I think is maternal in her character. Have to appreciate that one quite a bit. Black heifer that comes next, boy, is she powerful. Big-footed, stout-boned heifer that I think is big-topped and stout-pinned. Certainly is any. She's good in her body shape, and I think she's okay there. Structured all right. She can be a little more coordinated in terms of the way that she uses her rear too, but I still think she's flexible enough. I just like to make her a little more female-like through her front one-third. Smoothing her hair up front, make her a little more feminine. Heifer that rounds up the class, boy, big-footed, stout-boned, big pin cattle that's opened up underneath. I just like to loosen up her rear tube. Boy, she needs to be a little bit more flexible, and again, need to be a little bit smoother shoulder there up front.
Your class winner in Class 2 of Commercial Crossbred Heifers is Ryland Schledowitz. Second place is Levi Cup, and followed by Paige Wolahowski, and those were all purple ribbon winners. At this time, we'll be bringing in Catherine Bartroff from Class 1 and Ryland Schledowitz from Class 2 for champion. And we'll also have Levi Cup standing by.
Shannon, what you got for this right now? Brand inspector.
Reminder to the market beef exhibitors who are sending their cattle to carcass contest, the brand inspector will be here around 4:30, so please make sure that one of your family is around to work those details out. If you've got questions, please talk to Shannon Peterson. Thank you.
Good pair of cattle that you have out here in the Champion Commercial Drive. I think they're totally different cattle that, again, I think both though are sound enough. I think they have the right kind of substance and mass. When you get right down to it, there's one that I like quite well. I think these red heifer, the second in the lineup will be your champion.
Your champion is Ryland Schledowitz. We'll now bring in Levi Cup to compete for reserve champion. Reserve champion is Levi Cup. At this time, we will be competing for overall champion breeding heifer and reserve. We will be bringing back from the British breed, Heath Kaiser. From Continental breeds, J.C. Wolfinger, and from commercial, Ryland Schledowitz. We will also have the second place reserve standing by out of British breeds, Bristol McConville, out of Continental, Helene Kaiser, and out of commercial, Levi Cup. The Great Champion Breeding Heifer Trophy and Reserve Trophies are sponsored by the Dawson County Livestock Boosters Club. We've got a committee that raises funds for premiums, extra premiums for all of the exhibitors.
Really nice trio of females out there that we have for the Grand Champion Female Drive, and I think, I'll be the first to admit, really, and this goes for all three of them, there's things structurally I'd like to change in each one of these heifers, just to make them perfect, I guess, in terms of their feet and legs. I do think, again, once we get past that, though, I think there's three good body cattle in here that I think are good looking, that I think are maternal and feminine, I think they're good in their body type, and so it's really the minute extra things that are going to sort these. And again, there still is, when it comes down to making a decision, there's trade-off between structure and kind of what you think, and taking that into account. So as we get past some of those things, I guess I'm going to have to accept some structure problems in here with whichever heifer that I use. And so with that, keeping that in mind, I really like the female that's got a little more femininity for the right kind of substance that she has. She's good enough body. I think that one as a bred could be pretty good. Young lady's black heifer here in the middle is going to be your champion.
Your overall champion breeding heifer is J.C. Wolfinger. We'll now bring in Helene Kaiser with her second place from that class. Your reserve overall breeding heifer is Ryan Schladowitz. We're ready to start our market steer show. This will be first call, class 1. There's only 2 head. Also first call for class 2. Class 1, there's steers weighing 1528 to 1628. Class 2 are steers weighing 1368 to 1438. Entering the ring now is class 1. Spencer Walahaski and Parker Walahaski.
Everybody says, I've never worked with them. But maybe she'll have a nice job for her.
Two good steers that we had out here in the first class of heavyweights here in the market steer side of things. I asked these two kids, they said they were brothers, so I asked if they get bragging rights on who wins this class. But I think they both, bring two pretty nice steers, really big muscle, good carcass cattle that they bring out here. I'm going to leave them as they stand though, and use the steer here in the front to win the class. I'll be the first to admit he's heavy. I mean, 1628 is a heavy calf. One that I think is good and practical in his center body, really shapely up high and from behind, really wide and dimensional, and you appreciate that. When that calf stops from the side, he's super cool looking, and I think can give you that show steer look that we're after. His struggles are on his rear too. He really struggles to get out and flex with much ease there in terms of his hind leg. Gets one of the steps on the outside of his hoof wall, maybe bow out just a little bit. I really would like to fix his rear leg, but he's got the extra pieces to kind of overtake that in here. Student's going to sit second. It's another good-looking calf that I think is shapely behind his shoulder and from behind really is anything. He is the sounder one in terms of his rear leg, but I don't know that he fixes those issues up front. He's a little open shouldered, a little straight there through his front 1/3, and to me, he's just kind of flat in his forehead and a little shallower body. But like I said, good set of cattle.
Purple ribbon winners in that class. In first was Spencer Willahowski, and second was Parker Willahowski. This will be second call for class 3 of market steers. Entering the ring now will be class 2, Heath Kaiser, Preston Beatty, and Levi Cup. First call for class 4 market steers. First call for class 4. Final call for class 3 market heifers. Final call, class 3.
neighbors had their
This time, we'd like to thank our maintenance person on the fairgrounds. We have a new gentleman who is doing the maintenance, Mike Richmond. If you haven't met him, he's sitting right back here. He kind of came in and all of a sudden things were, okay, are we having a fair? Aren't we having a fair? What are we doing? And he was new to it, but if you need anything, boy, he'll help you out. So let's welcome Mike to the fair. Second call for Class 4 of Market Steers. Second call, Class 4.
Interesting pair of cattle here at the top of this class. I just want to talk each one individually here first before I even tell you how I place them, because I do think they're that close, but they're so different, I guess, in my opinion. So the steer is here, the first in the lineup. Man, is that thing attractive from the outside. When that young man gets that steer propped up, you really have to appreciate the look and quality that he has to his front 1/3. I think he's good in his top line. He's good out of his pin set. To me, that's a really shapely steer. He's the big topped option that's definitely more aggressive out of the backside of his shoulder. You get him behind him, he's certainly a little stouter pin and has more shape to his lower quarter, there's no doubt. So he stays more consistent in his base width to the surface. If I'm getting hard on that one, you got to question his fat cover probably at this stage in the game. Not as filled in his flank, no doubt about it. And from a structural standpoint, he does. He kind of wants to get up in his jump muscle a little bit and kind of get round out of his hip as he gets out on the go. And so there's some things to get picky about on that one, but that's certainly a good looking one with the right kind of shape. Steer second here in the lineup's more of a meat and potatoes kind of calf, in my opinion. One that I think is good and practical in terms of his center skeleton, and he is. He's definitely more consistent in the way that he uses his rear too, a little sounder as he gets out and he goes. And while I think he is good from a finish standpoint, he's certainly been efficient in that regard, and I don't question him on that side of things. I think you just study him up high and you get him behind him, and you're a little bit disappointed with just the amount of shape that he brings to the table. My biggest view on this one that I wish I could take back is the view seeing that calf going away, man. You just wish that he had a little more shape to his lower stifle. on his upper hip. And so then you kind of got a question. Okay, which one are you going to go with? Are you going to say that you like the heavier finished steer that's a little more practical and sounder and say that he has enough muscle? Or are you going to use the better looking, shapelier one that maybe you question from a practicality standpoint, maybe some structure things and that one's center skeleton that you'd like to change? I really think that steers are totally opposite. As for me, I'm going to go with my initial, and I think watching cattle on the move is the way to evaluate them. I'm going to use the young man steer, the second lineup, to go ahead and win the class. Young man up front there will be second. Steer that's going to hit third is one that I think is probably the heaviest muscle of all three of them. Really a big back, big pin steer. He just drew a tough card. Maybe not as good from a build standpoint. He's a little off in his top, round out of his hip. Really like to loosen him up in terms of his rear skeleton. But congratulations to these young people.
Your class winner is Preston Beatty. Second purple was Heath Kaiser. Receiving a blue, Levi Cobb. Final call for class 4 market steers. Final call. Entering the ring now will be class 3 of market steers weighing 1202 to 1298. We have Braden Malcolm, Bristol McConville, Gracie Schneider, Neely Anderson, Gage Anderson, and Emma Peterson, and Garrett Langley. Just a reminder, there is water available over with Sarah in the southeast corner of the arena. Also, exhibitors can pick up their ribbons from her. Thank you.
We'll see.
that's a really big top steer that you get in behind him, you're impressed with the amount of pin set and just width and dimension that he has. A good practical centered calf that's bold-bodied and deep-sided, and I still think he gives you a good enough look from the outside, even though maybe you'd like to clean him up front there ever so slightly. My biggest problem with him is his hind leg. He really wants to travel on the outside of his hoof wall, kind of wants to bow out a little bit. But he actually gets out there and flexes him a little better than what you might think that he would, but still would like to clean up his hind leg. Red steer that comes next, he's the stylish one probably, that I can see being the fan favorite from the outside. A pretty good looking steer. When she gets some parks and planted, I think he's level up top, square out of his hip. One that I think has the right kind of shape and muscle. Again, structure is where I question that with his hind legs, a little short stepping, a little rigid in the way that he sets into his lower joints. And so I don't know that he really corrects any of the structural issues that comes with our class winner. But again, two really nice steers there up top. Steer that's going to come next, that's probably the soundest steer, that initial three. Really that sound-made, smooth, structured type of calf. I think you study that one up high, though, when you get in behind the cattle, you probably question if that one has enough true muscle and dimension. Steer that comes next is probably a little bigger top and a little thicker ended. That steer being just all too rigid and frail in terms of that one's rear leg and lower joints. Needs to be a little better structured. Steer that comes next, really a meat and potatoes type of calf. Has enough muscle, has enough finish, there's no question. Not quite the balance and structure as a couple of steers, but one that I think's fed out quite well. Steer that's going to come next, really a visually high-performing one that's plenty long body, but I think that steer is certainly stout enough, just a little too shallow with that one's flank, a little too uncoordinated and tight on his hind leg. Steer that rounds out the class is pretty good structured, pretty good made, just needs a little more natural muscle to make a play.
Class winner is Gracie Schneider. Second purple, Emma Peterson. Receiving blues, Bristol McConville, Gage Anderson, Braylon Malcolm, Neely Anderson, and Garrett Longley. Now entering the ring will be the fourth class of market steers. These are steers weighing 1066 to 1148. We have Neely Anderson, Trina Pearson, and Brantley Malcolm.
thought I better give you a heads up. I'm pretty sure it's 7 years. Okay, next time. Yeah, okay, that was 7 years ago last time. But, I think by the time I finally got it, because that was, I called them on the way out. So it's,
With a good classic cattle, I'm going to go ahead and use the young man with the shorthorn mark steer to go ahead and win the class. Just the heaviest muscle one that's certainly the shapeliest up high. Behind the cattle, that one certainly has the most shape to his lower stifle and upper hip. A big-footed stout bone kind of a calf that I think is good enough in his center skeleton. If I wanted to change him a little bit, maybe it'd be his structure up front. He wants to turn out there, be a little bit open-shouldered. But again, I do think that he is the soundest steer in terms of his rear foot and leg in this particular class, and then certainly he has the right kind of muscle and shape. Steer that's going to sit second over there is one that's good looking from the outside. Man, he's attractive up front, level up top, and square out of his hip. I can certainly appreciate for that one being so smooth made while that one's sitting still. And I do think he has enough shape of muscle. Maybe one of the narrower, frailer calves, and then his hind leg just needs to be a whole lot more flexible, needs to be a little bit deeper in terms of his rear flank. Steer that sits third is a good-bodied calf, really bold-centered, one that I think is shapely up high and from behind. But again, not going to overwhelm you in terms of muscle and mass. And then again, needs to be a lot better structured on that calf's hind leg, a little too straight and short as that one gets out and goes. But again, that's a deep set of cattle, really good trio there.
Results from Class 4. First purple, Brantley Malcolm. Second purple, Neely Anderson, and receiving a blue, Trina Pearson. At this time, we'll bring our 4 class winners for market steers for champion and reserve overall market. From Class 1, Spencer Wolochowski. From Class 2, Preston Beatty. From Class 3, Gracie Schneider. From Class 4, Brantley Malcolm. This is first call for bred and fed steers, Class 1, steers weighing 1568 to 1610.
awesome set of show steers we had to evaluate out here. Let's give these exhibitors a round of applause. I think we've got a good, consistent set out here. Cattle that I think are practical, cattle that I think have enough muscle. And then, while there's some structural things that I'd certainly like to change in a few of them out here, that's for sure. That's really what it comes down to in my mind. I think you have to think, to me, there's one steer out here that's pretty good from a structural standpoint. That's probably what's going to help him the most in here, because I'll be the first to tell you the steer I'm going to use, he's probably as plain in his muscle shape as anything in here, and I usually don't like that to be the case on a steer that's going to win a show, but you have to think, does he have enough? And I do think he's dimensional enough up high. I think he has enough dimension from behind. A steer that's going to grade out good on the quality side of the grid. And then again, we're in a show ring, and so structure, look, just the fact that he's actually good in his feet and legs and his angles are correct is what's going to win it for him. Young man here in the middle is going to be your champion.
Champion Market Steer goes to Preston Beatty. We'll now bring in the second place, Heath Kaiser's steer for reserve. Your reserve market steer is Heath Kaiser. We'll now begin our bred and fed steer show. This will be first call for class 2. And entering the ring will be class 1, Parker Wallahowski and Sarah Treffer. Calves weighing 1568 to 1610. Second call for class 2 bred and feds. Second call, class 2 bred and feds. First call for class 3 bred and fed steers. First call, class 3.
nice pair of fed cattle as we have out here, and I do think both of these steers are going to do good on a quality grid. There's no question they're good in terms of their fat cover, and you can tell they've certainly been efficient there at the bunk. One thing I'll say, I'm gonna go ahead and use this young man here in the front to win the class. To me, it's just a heavier muscled steer. He's bigger topped, he's more consistent there back to a stouter pin set, and he's more opened up underneath. Really has a lot more shape there to his lower stifle, and he honestly is real practical in his center skeleton. My biggest struggle with him is his structure. He's a little short striding, but I don't know if this steer in second really corrects him there. I'll tell you, the steer in second, though, is pretty good looking from the side, certainly smooth finished. I think he's good in terms of his center skeleton. You just study them over the top side of their skeleton, and you get him behind them, maybe a little more disappointed with just he's a little bit narrower, more closed up, flatter in terms of his muscle shape. Good job.
Class winner, the purple ribbon goes to Parker Walahowski. First blue goes to Sarah Treffer. Entering the ring next will be Class 2 of Bred and Feds, Greg Treffer, Spencer Walahowski, and Greta Rickardson. This will be second call for Class 3 Bred and Fed steers, and first call for Class 4 Bred and Fed.
Another interesting classic cattle in here, and I do think that it does sort into a top pair in my mind. As for me, and I keep going back and forth in this particular pair, I'm actually going to go ahead and use this blue steer to win the class. To me, that's the one. Not only is he a little more upstanding and attractive from the outside, I think he's leveler top, leveler out of his hip. There's no question he's the more attractive steer up front. I think he has a little more shape up high, maybe even just a touch more from behind. I do think he's good enough in his body type and structure's okay. He's the frailer steer that's certainly higher flanked and not further along, as far along from a finish standpoint, but you still have to like those attractive pieces that he brings to the table. Meat and potatoes calf here that's in the frontal line that's actually going to finish second is one that's just that. Boise practical in his center skeleton, certainly has finished well, there's no question. He's just a little bit short. And not as good balance, maybe wants to be a little bit straight shoulder, a little off in his top, round out of his hip, and I just wish he had a little more true muscle shape. Steer that's going to round out the class, the red Baldy Steer. Man, is that thing big-footed and stout bone, really shapely up high and from behind. But that's the worst structured steer, a little too open-shouldered and short striding. Maybe needs a little bit more, be a bit more practical in terms of his center body.
First purple in the second class of bred and feds is Spencer Wolochowski. Second purple, Greg Treffer. And first blue, Greta Rickardson. Now entering the ring will be class 3 of bred and feds. Steers weighing 1324 to 1426. Trevor David, Spencer Wolochowski, Gage Sledowitz, and Dillinger Sledowitz. This will be final call for class 4 bred and feds. Final call.
Another interesting set, and there's really been a lot of differences in these classes, and I think, with that being the case, I think there's a couple of different things that could happen really in each set, and so it certainly makes it interesting breaking them down out here. Young man's black steer there on the far left is going to be your class winner. Not only is he big and shapely up high, I think he has enough width and dimension from behind. Certainly a good bodied steer that I think when he's stopped and planted can give you a cool look from the outside. His big issue is his rear leg. He needs to be a little bit sounder and more flexible in the way that he gets out and uses his rear too, but I still think he's good enough structured, especially when he has those other valuable basics that we're after. Blue steer that comes next, boy, is he cool and attractive from the outside. Pretty big, good in terms of his rib shape, big topped, has enough muscle from behind. He's just a little bit too tubular in terms of his center skeleton. I'd like to fix him, make him a little more practical there. Black steer that comes next, good finish, really a steer that I think is good in his cover up high. He's one that's bold and deep there in terms of his center skeleton. Excuse me, it's just his balance that is what gets him. He runs downhill a little open shoulder, a little round out of his hip, could be a little bit better from a structural standpoint. Steer that rounds up the class, boy is he big and high performing, one that I think is bold bodied and deep sided. You just study that one up top and get him behind him and you probably question if he has enough muscle. A little too narrow and closed up. Good job, guys.
First purple in Class 3 of Bred and Feds goes to Gage Schledowitz. Second purple, Spencer Walahowski. Third purple to Dillinger Schledowitz. And the first blue went to Trevor David. Now entering the ring will be Class 4 Bred and Feds, weighing 1218 to 1310. Elizabeth David, Ryland Schledowitz, and Hayden Russman.
Good class of steers. I'm going to go ahead and use this predominantly black calf to go ahead and win. That's the one that's really big muscled up top. He's big and stout when you get right in behind him. A good bodied steer that I think can give you a good look from the outside. The struggle on him is his structure. I'd like to fix his hind leg, make him a little looser and more flexible is the way that he goes, but still a good steer from a muscle standpoint. Blue roan steer that's going to sit second, a bold bodied, really good rib calf. One that I think has the proper width and dimension. Again, build and balance probably throws him off. A little too straight. and turned out there up front. Could probably be a little looser in the way that he goes off his rear tube, but again, a good-looking show calf. One that goes in last is probably as good bodied and sound structure as good as anything in here, for sure. There's no question. That's a practical steer that's fat. He's just a little too narrow and light muscle, a little too narrow up high. You get him behind that calf. I like to see him with a little more shape to his lower stifle.
Class winner goes to Ryland Schledowitz. Second purple goes to Hayden Russman. First blue goes to Elizabeth David. At this time, we will be selecting our champion bred and fed steer from the first class, Parker Wolochowski. Second class, Spencer Wolochowski. Out of our third class, Gage Schledowitz. And out of our fourth class, Ryland Schledowitz. Following the selection of our bred and fed, we'll go into our market heifer class. There's two classes, so this will be first call for both classes of market heifers. Thank you.
Really impressed by the quality of cattle here in our bred and fed division. So we get out here in the Grand Drive, and I really like each steer for just the practical basics that they bring to the table. These cattle cover the basics first, and we're talking the combination of the right kind of muscle with a good amount of fat cover. Then I still think they're sound enough from a structural standpoint, right? And then I think, honestly, good and practical bodied cattle that are opened up enough. And so, again, there's a couple that I think sort to the forefront in my opinion, but as I have to get ready to select for a champion, the one here out of this third class will go ahead and be your champion.
Champion bred and fed goes to Gage Schledowitz. We'll now bring in the second from that one, Spencer Wolochowski. Reserve goes to Parker Walahowski.
And then,
Now entering the ring will be our first class of market heifers. These are heifers weighing 1406 to 1518. Greta Rickardson, J.C. Wolfinger. This will be final call for Class 2 market heifers. Final call, Class 2. Just a reminder to the clubs, be thinking about your pin club of 5 market animals to be putting those together. We'll be getting close to that competition.
Good pair of market females. I'm going to go ahead and use the young ladies here on my left to go ahead and be your winner in this class. That one's just so massive over the top side of her skeleton, and equally as stout pin and opened up from behind. Huge bodied female that's super productive and bold there in her center skeleton. I think she's wide chested, she's opened up at the surface, and can honestly give you a pretty balanced look from the side. My struggle on this one is structure. That one's rear leg needs to be a little looser and more flexible, but when you're carrying that much back shape and substance, that can become to expect, but I don't think she's a cripple. She still gets around good enough. Nice heifer to win the class. Really high-performing long body female is going to sit second that I think has enough fat cover. You can tell she's certainly, got some fat there in her indicators. My biggest thing on her, she's a little bit flat in her forehead, a little tight-bodied, one that I think probably could use a little more just natural width and dimension in comparison to our class winner. Good job.
Class winner in the first class of market heifers is J.C. Wolfinger, and the second purple goes to Greta Rickardson. Now entering the ring will be Class 2 market heifers, Bart Beatty and Hayden Russman.
Nice pair of market heifers. I'm going to use the young man's female there in front to go ahead and be your class winner. That thing's pretty dang nice, to be perfectly honest with you. For her to have that much muscle and power to bring to the table and still be able to get around in a sound structural setup like that is certainly something to be admired. She's good bodied. She's good in her angles. I really like that female again, and she has those basics of muscle, width, and dimension to go along with it. Heifer that's going to sit second is one that I think's good and round bodied, and she certainly has enough muscle. There's no question. I think she's a little pushed forward in terms of her shoulder up front, and then certainly on her hind wheels, she needs to be a little bit looser and more flexible as she gets out and goes. But like I said, a good pair of cattle.
First purple goes to Bart Beatty. Second purple to Hayden Russman. We'll now make the selection of champion and reserve champion market heifers. Following the selection of our overall champion market beef, we will be doing the rate of gain championship, and we will need the following 4-H'ers to the ring: Sarah Treffer, Parker Wallahowski, Greg Treffer, and Spencer Wallahowski. Thank you.
Really like these two heifers that these two young people bring to the table out here, and I think, obviously on the market side of things, we're real focused on muscle, real focused on having the right kind of fat cover, but then again, being productive centered, being practical, still soundness makes the play, and so, I think as we come out here and evaluate these two, the real difference in the cattle is soundness, in my opinion. This heifer out front is an absolute truck. She really is. She's as big backed and opened up as you'd like to have one. I'm just skeptical of her rear wheels. She's a little coarse as she gets around and uses them, and I think that's where you have the luxury of this heifer that's going to go ahead and be your champion. I think she's a little sounder. Young man will have your grand champion market heifer.
Champion market heifer goes to Bart Beatty. We'll now have Hayden Russman come in with his second place. Reserve Champion Market Heifer goes to J.C. Wolfinger. At this time, we'll be selecting the overall champion and reserve market beef. From the Market Steers, champion was Preston Beatty. From the Bred and Feds, the champion was Gage Schledowitz. And from the Heifers, Need Bart Beatty.
Well, as we step out in here into the champion market cattle division, you know, it certainly makes for a tough decision for me. First off, let's give a round of applause to these three exhibitors. Awesome job by these kids showing these things, and I do think, you know, we had the luxury when we got into these top-end cattle that not only are they good muscled, not only do they look like market animals, but I want them to be good structured too. You guys have probably found that out by now. Certainly try to pay attention to feet and leg structure, because we do. We got to keep these cattle good built, even if we are on the market side of things. And so I think if you kind of try to keep that in mind moving forward, you know, I think you'll be in a good spot. Once again, I really like the three that I have in front of them. To me, it comes in between the market heifer there and then the market steer there in front, kind of for champion. I think both of them are the sounder ones for me. I am going to end up using one that I wish had a little more muscle from behind. That's my big pet peeve on that calf. But again, I'm going to say that he has enough. Young man steer here out front will be your champion.
Your overall champion market beef goes to Preston B. Reserve champion goes to Bart Beatty. If we could please have the following 4-Hers come to the ring: Sarah Treffer, Parker Walahowski, Greg Treffer, and Spencer Walahowski. Please report to the ring. This is our rate of gain competition. And in 4th place is Spencer Walahowski with a rate of gain of 3.82. 3rd place is Greg Treffer with a rate of gain of 3.87. In 2nd is Parker Walahowski, 4.40 rate of gain. And our champion is Sarah Treffer, 4.67 per day rate of gain. Congratulations. If the clubs would like to start bringing their pens of 5, please remember to keep social distancing in mind as you're setting up. You don't have to have the calves real close. As hot as it is, you probably don't want to anyway. So please make your way to the arena. Again, we'd like to thank our judge for today, Blaine French, who's originally from Batesville, Arkansas. He's presently the UNL judging coach. We'd like to thank him for coming and spending time in Dawson County and evaluating our livestock. Let's give him a round of applause. The plaque for the pen of 5 is sponsored by the Dawson County Cattlemen. The name will be engraved, the winner's name will be engraved on it, and it hangs in the 4-H cafe. Looks like we've got 4 clubs competing. Down in the southeast corner is 100th Meridian. The northeast corner, or southwest corner is Tail Twisters 1. In the west is Sumner Livestock, and over on the north side is Tail Twisters 2.
really impressed with the 4 pins that we have out here. And I know when you think about a pin show, you start thinking about consistency of pin, you know, how consistent is each pin. Then you go to quality, you know, how high quality are the animals that are represented in each pin, you know, and you think about those and try to find a good combination of the two. I think each one of these pins really does a pretty nice job from a consistency standpoint. You know, I think over here, the cattle that you have in this pen, really heavy muscled cattle that I think have the right kind of shape and muscle dimension, maybe some structural issues across the board. Each one of those probably I'd like to fix some things from a structural standpoint, so that's probably their hindrance in my mind. A set of steers over here, really high-performing, long-bodied cattle. They're really consistent in that regard. Steers that I think are good enough built, maybe just a couple of them you have to wonder, is there enough muscle dimension today in comparison to the few of the other contemporaries in this particular lineup. Set of animals over here, really good pen, really heavy muscled cattle, but then there's some cattle in there that I think can move and get out and travel good enough in my opinion, and so there's some outliers in that particular lineup I think in terms of quality in my mind. A good set over here, and a set that I think is really consistent for the most part, maybe an outlier or two just from a performance standpoint, but again, really high quality, highly presented cattle that is in that pen as well. So, you know, I do think it comes down to a couple if you're talking about which one you want to use for Grand Champion. As I go across those, though, the ones that make the best combination of quality but still having the right kind of consistency, I think this black pen of cattle over here is going to be your champion.
Champion goes to Sumner Livestock.